This thing is a pyramid, since time immemorial. Shit runs downhill, money goes up. It's that simple.
Hey Sopranos fans, welcome to another episode here on Bully Whispers, and we are here today to evaluate Law 7 of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power in The Sopranos, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. This concept is built into the very fabric of the Mafia, and we can see examples like Christopher getting fish for Tony while Matt and Sean pay for it throughout the show. But one analogy and one historical example from this chapter put an interesting twist on this evaluation. First, Greene states that there are hunters and vultures. Hunters work to get their prey, while vultures hang around waiting and then feast off the labor of the hunter. Obviously, from an objective standpoint, everyone in the mob would fall into the category of vulture. But one of the historical examples given creates an excellent perspective through which to rank the gangsters in The Sopranos. The feud between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla is featured very heavily in this chapter, and in addition to being better at drawing attention, which is Power Law 6, Edison was an excellent delegator as opposed to Tesla, who just wanted to do it all himself. Now, when examining Law 7 in The Sopranos through the lenses of hunter versus vulture and doer versus delegator, three distinct levels immediately become clear. Hunters, at least by mob standards, dealers, and tellers. However, if we are going to be accurate in our evaluation of the vultures, then we must acknowledge that this hierarchy isn't as much stepped as it is angled. So in this episode, we will be working our way up the pyramid of vultures, starting with the hunters, and then moving up through those who are mostly hunters, those who are mostly dealers, those who are mostly tellers, and those who cannot be told. Of course, if you disagree with any of my ratings or want to throw in your own thoughts on someone I left out, I'd love to see it down in the comment section. When starting at the bottom with the hunters, it's important to note that age and rank are primarily the determining factors at this level. Even the Lucky Lucianos and Carlo Gambinos still started out as hunters. That being said, individual characteristics and aptitudes end up playing a significant role over time, which will become more apparent the higher up the pyramid we go. At the bottom, we have guys like Brendan Filone, Matthew Bevilaqua, and Sean Gismonte. No one is going to be giving them no-work jobs or putting them in charge of anything or giving them any kickbacks. If they want money, they have to go get it, and I'm not going to spend much time on them because this is fairly straightforward, although I will say this. Between the three of them, if I was starting a crew and had to pick one, then I think I'd pick Sean Gismonte. All three are dumb as dirt.
I went to Pace College.
But Brendan Filone and Matthew Bevilaqua have bad ideas that end up being quite costly, while Sean just kind of sits around and does what he's told, and I don't need my stupid people doing any thinking. Moving up to those who are mostly hunters, we have Christopher Moltisanti, and this is where the fact that the pyramid is angled and not stepped starts to come into focus. Despite the fact that he made capo, this is as high as I can place him on the pyramid for a few reasons. First, the only reason he made it to capo, or even lived as long as he did, is because he was Tony's nephew, although that doesn't disqualify him in and of itself. After all, Alexander the Great became king because he was Philip II's son, but that doesn't change what he did through his own abilities. Unfortunately for Christopher, his abilities weren't as plentiful. He was not a natural leader like Tony, and when he was put in charge of things, like his stint in construction, it often went poorly.
Well, yeah, Patsy mentioned something.
Jesus Christ, if I wanted Patsy in charge.
That being said, he had the potential to be higher up the pyramid since he did show a desire to make deals and create new revenue streams in the entertainment business. However, from his early aspirations to enter the music business, which were dashed by Hesh.
So?
Well, I think it's not good.
Want to be a little more specific?
I could have used a little more cowbell.
To his ongoing fascination with the movie industry, all of it had the desire to leave the mob behind it, either consciously or subconsciously. It's this 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality, along with the fact that his addiction would probably keep him from really being able to wait very long, that prevent him from being more vulture than hunter. Moving up a level to those who are mostly dealers, we run into guys like Paulie Walnuts and Richie Aprile. In stark contrast to Christopher, who made it to capo quickly due to Tony, Paulie and Richie arguably provide good examples of people who made it to that level through sheer longevity and seniority, not any particular skill or ability. I place them above Chris because they are both more delegators than doers, although Paulie still did some ground level work when it came to huge scores and personal favors to Tony. Now, the fact that neither of them are particularly bright certainly didn't help them, but the main thing keeping them both from being dealers is their social skills. After all, Lil Carmine was an idiot, but he was still a dealer who was called upon to mediate disputes. While Paulie may be very sociable and entertaining in a hang out and have some drinks with him kind of way, When it comes to serious negotiation, he lacks the thick skin and patience needed to handle long-term dealings. And of course, Richie's lack of social skills speaks for itself. His only negotiating tactic is the old school, give me what I want or I'll kill you, and if that doesn't work, his only real option is the death stare. Unfortunately, Manson lamps can only take you so far. When moving up to the level of dealer, we run into guys like Ralph Cifaretto and Vito Spatafore. It's important to note here that we see Vito rise further than any other character, which is something I go into in the Power Law 5 episode, but this particular placing is based on where he is at the height of his power before being outed. With Ralphie, though he can be petty, he is quite capable of handling complex negotiations and has many of the qualities needed to be a leader.
You can't deny it. Ralphie's whipped Richie's crew into shape over there.
Also, unlike fellow capo yet lower on the pyramid Richie, who runs over Beansy personally, Ralphie waits in the car while his crew takes care of Joe Zachary for him. Similarly, Vito is especially good at greasing the unions and even shows a penchant for subtle manipulation that Ralphie lacks. Also, unlike fellow capo, yet lower on the pyramid Paulie Walnuts, Vito is the one who supplies the big scores, leaving it to Paulie to do the dirty work. While both Ralphie and Vito had the potential to go higher, especially Vito, which I made an episode on, both were taken out early for various reasons, and so this is where they fall on the pyramid. When moving up to the level of those who are mostly tellers, we run into guys like Sil. Sil is excellent at negotiation and delegation, as well as separation for the purpose of deniability.
There's a guy named Teddy Spiridakis owes some money.
You want me to collect?
That ship sailed. Final notice time.
That's a no-go.
What?
Can't be accommodated. You're part of the team.
But I just did that thing.
That's not my department.
However, he can't be considered a teller either in reality or in potential because A, he had a boss, and B, he doesn't seem particularly suited for that role even when given the opportunity. During his short stint as acting boss, it didn't take long before the pressure overwhelmed him and led to him being hospitalized for an asthma attack. So mostly teller may be as high on the pyramid as he was capable of going. Moving up to the level of those who are tellers, we run into guys like Tony Soprano. While Tony is seen doing street-level things like shooting Matt Bevilaqua and stealing wine, there were usually reasons behind it, with Matt Bevilaqua being personal due to his shooting of Chris, and the wine heist being a crime of opportunity. It's not like they were looking for wine to steal, nor were they told to do so. They just happened upon some and took advantage of the situation.
Run away with the Vipers!
Aside from singular incidents like that, Tony has other people doing everything else for him, so at this point it's easy to assume that he's on top of the pyramid. But he's not. Despite being the boss of a family, he still occasionally has to deal with being told what to do by a figure with more authority, which sends us up the pyramid even further to those who can't be told. Now, when evaluating this level, it soon became apparent to me that this level can be split in two: those who almost can't be told and those who truly can't be told. And the difference between them can be seen through Johnny Sack, Carmine Sr., and their respective dealings with Tony. During Carmine Sr.'s tenure as boss, the best situation to evaluate would be the fallout from the Ginny Sack joke, and here there are a few things to take note of. First, Carmine Sr. was secure enough in his spot that he didn't feel the need to placate Johnny Sack. He just stated his position and was unable to be moved off it.
It's sell, John. So either name a price or get the fuck over it.
And while Johnny did try to have him killed, Tony bounced back and forth, eventually turning the job down because, again, Carmine was too secure in his position. Also, when Tony got the call from Carmine saying that Johnny had to go without saying anything at all,
I didn't say nothing.
there was no bouncing back and forth from Tony. He knew that regardless of his personal feelings, a request of this nature from Carmine had to be honored.
20 years I've been friends with John. Now he's gotta go.
Now contrast that with the Tony B situation during Johnny Sack's tenure as boss. Here we see Tony defiantly denying a legitimate request from John.
Go fuck yourself. You and Phil and whoever. My fucking cousin.
And when they do make peace, Johnny tips his hand and shows that he isn't that secure within his own family.
Truth is, we've had discussions. I gave him the sports book.
Why don't you share that right off, you cheap fuck?
Because I don't like it. He's going to want consigliere or who knows
Let's not
what.
go.
If Carmine were still boss, what Phil wanted would not have mattered to that degree. Phil would have gotten what he got, and that would have been the end of it. But because Johnny was not as secure in his spot, he was forced to entertain and placate Phil to an extent that Carmine never had to do with him. That's why I don't think Johnny can be put in the category of truly can't be told like Carmine Sr. He certainly had the potential to be, and had he been around long enough to solidify his position, he probably would have, but as it stands, Carmine Sr. is the only one who can truly not be told. While there may be some squabbling over how to split money on different projects, which is par for the course, when it comes to big things, both inside his family and out, his word is final. Now, since we're on the topic of Carmine Sr., I'd like to take a second to say that I am currently lining up my first Carmine Sr. focused episode, and I'm curious what you'd like it to be. I will be creating a community poll about this as well, but would you rather see a character analysis, a Machiavellian Monday, or a character comparison with an historical figure like Carlo Gambino? Let me know down in the comments. Well, thanks for watching this episode here on Bully Whispers. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you at the next score.